What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Ben.
I'm Dan.
And I am Reese.
And we're back again. I think this is like the most frequent we've been ever recorded this podcast.
We got everybody in the same room twice within 2 weeks.
Literally.
Wow.
Entertaining things going on right now.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of big things.
Speaking of
Except for
entertainment.
this movie we just saw.
Except for the movie. Exactly.
I'm kidding.
The spoilers, guys. Come on. Yeah. Should we tease it?
I'm pretty sure the whole
Coming up on the show, we're going to be...
I'm pretty sure the whole world knows
Yeah,
how this
100%.
movie goes.
Spoiler alert for everything here
Yeah.
because we're going to be going into plot details and crucifying this movie. So
And as always, if you guys enjoy the content and if you enjoy seeing us, get a little critical with movies, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button because you guys know it does help us out, and we love making this kind of content for you guys.
If you guys are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating. Drop a comment.
yeah,
We love you.
and on Spotify too. Just fuck that shit up.
Can you do it on
Google,
Spotify?
There's another
You
Google
can
one.
like it
You
on
can like it
Spotify.
on Spotify.
Shows how much I
Google,
know,
no
maybe.
idea. I don't even know they had a podcast provider until we started this. So yeah, give it all.
Thanks,
Rate it all.
guys.
I really tried to like this movie.
I think we should start off
I don't
with,
think this one's a hot take though, because based off what I'm seeing, most people are
Yeah.
kind of on the same page as us.
Yeah.
So I mean,
which is weird. 'cause
Second lowest
usually-
Rotten Tomatoes score on.
Usually
Marvel
we're like
movie.
the opposite side of whatever most people
Yeah,
think.
true.
Which is,
of course, there's still going to be the people, and if you like the movie, awesome.
Yeah.
Glad that you
Yeah.
loved it.
it had its moments.
You know what?
We love that you
it was
love
like
it.
Alex was saying. Like I really wanted to like the movie, but
I was liking the movie.
Yeah.
See,
Hold on. Let's start with the story first.
Okay.
Alex,
Yeah.
please. So, yeah, go ahead. Take it
Well,
away.
okay. We'll just start out with this story just to kind of preface, I guess, how we're all feeling. So I don't know about you guys, but the first like 2/3 of the movie, I actually was like getting into it. I was like, yo, this is actually like sick. The reason why is because in my head, I'm like, I love it when Marvel goes like really experimental, you know? And I mean, it kind of continued in that tradition from like Multiverse of Madness to me. And I was like, okay, that's like, super sick. They're going into like, the quantum realm and like all this kind of stuff, like, some Star Wars nods here and there.
Yeah, Star Wars nods.
So yeah, I know.
Full cantina scene happening.
Yeah.
surprised the music wasn't in the background.
There were a few things that were
Playing some
bothering me.
jizz.
A few things.
It's actually what it's called. Look it up.
A few things were bothering me a little bit, but I was kind of like overlooking them because I was like, okay, whatever. So I forget at what point in the movie it was. It was like just before like the third act. Where were they in the movie? I can't remember. But Reese got up, go to the bathroom, and he goes. And in my head, I'm like, man, I never do this ever. I really have to go to the bathroom too. So I'm like, you know what? He's gone. I'm looking to my left. The row is empty. So I'm like, okay, let me just sneak out real quick, right? So I go sneak out. I see him in the bathroom. He's like on his way out. I'm going in. I'm like, yo, what do you think so far? And he's like, what'd you say?
I was just like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I'm still unpacking it.
He's
but
like, I'm
like,
still getting into it.
yeah, like first impressions were just, like it's popcorn movie, I guess. and then
I was like kind of engrossed in my own vibe at that point. So I was like, really? Like I'm actually kind of loving it, to be honest. Like, I was liking it a lot. So I was like, yeah, okay, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, whatever. So we both come back at the same time. I'm not even kidding you. The minute I sat back down, like the third act like started unraveling and everything came crumbling down in the movie for me. And I was so distracted the whole time watching it because the entire third act, I'm thinking, wow, I can't believe I just told this guy in the bathroom that I was liking this movie.
and then I'm sitting there the whole time like, what are you thinking?
I didn't make eye contact with him at all on purpose. He's sitting right next to me, and I was like, man, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I kind of felt honestly the opposite
Same.
during the movie. Like I was
The whole time we were kind of on
the
board
first
with.
half of the movie. I was like. It was like a snooze fest, and like from the reviews, that's the one thing I've been seeing from the reviews so far is like people are like, oh, the first half is really engrossing. I'm like, okay, cool, we're doing the setup, and then like we really starting to get in the meat and potatoes of like Kang showing like kind of his backstory, which I was like intrigued with him and with Janet. I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is interesting, and Kang started to like unravel a little bit, and I was like, okay. I'm kind of down for like the CG chaotic Marvel mess of the third act because I'm kind of invested in Kang because like he's supposed to be our big bad. So I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. And then the last half hour happened, and obviously, spoiler alert, like we'll have a whole discussion about it, but like they really, really, really lost me with how they ended the movie. And supposedly, there were multiple endings, and this is just kind of like more meddlings with like just Marvel changing things in the last
Really,
minute.
eh?
'Cause supposedly there was a few different endings shot. One of which was that it was going to be what I personally wanted the movie was for Scott and Kang to be left in the quantum realm.
Oh,
That's how I wanted the movie to end, because then you set up stakes. The problem with how they ended this with killing Kang is just like they did the Marvelism of introducing a new villain and then killing him in the same movie, and especially for the one that's supposed to be your next Thanos, your next big bad, your next overarching villain. They set this up as Kang the Conqueror. He got banished by the other Kangs because he was too fucked up. Like, he was the most messed up one. And you got taken down by Ant-Man?
Not even, he didn't even get taken down by Ant-Man.
In a fist fight.
No, he got taken down by like the old Ant-Man's ants.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Like,
no,
what
but
are
then
you
they have
talking
the
about?
fist fight,
I know,
the one-on-one fist fight, and you're telling me Scott Lang's going to take on Kang the Conqueror in a fist fight and win. And then not only that, it's like there was the perfect opportunity. You know, for me, the moment when he pushed Cassie through the portal, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is the perfect send-off. He had his heroic moment. He got to save his daughter. You can set her up as the next, Ant-Man, the Young Avengers, whatever the fuck you want to do with it. That's what they're setting up. And it's like, okay, then it's like he sacrifices himself to like trap him and Kang. He even says the line, as long as we both lose, then I win, or something along those lines. Obviously, I'm abbreviating it. So it's like if they just had them both trapped in the quantum realm, like I know they're kind of like, that's already happened with Ant-Man, so that's why they didn't do it. But it's like the fact that they just killed the Conqueror or sent him to the Shadow Realm or whatever the fuck you want, wherever he got sent. It was just like, it just felt like a cop out. And it's like how you just undermined your next big bad by having him lose to, like a filler character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry if you love Ant-Man, but he is a side character. Like, he's not like a main Avenger. So like, he's comedic relief and comes in for support. Like, Ant-Man's the guy that comes in. We need the small guy. We need the big guy. He comes in, he does his shtick, and then the Avengers do the rest, right? Like, that's Ant-Man in my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. And to have your big bad just get taken down like that, it just undermined him, in my personal opinion. Like, there was many ways they could have ended it, and my biggest gripe is the way they ended his character arc. I would have been okay if they had him still alive, and then he just, or like even at the end when Ant-Man's doing his like San Francisco thing and he's like second guessing himself, did I just fuck up the entire world? Like, and what if they just showed like a shot of him like in the cafe just like looking at him smiling, see I'm everywhere, like I always win no matter what. But like it's like, oh, the good guys always win and nothing matters because it's Marvel and Disney and we're gonna win.
It's like, it's one of those movies to me where you take it out of the actual timeline and it makes no difference.
Yeah.
Why was that made?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, everything's just back to normal, basically. It's back to how it was at the beginning of the movie. And, the only tease we get is the credit scene and Scott being like, oh, shit, he said something worse is coming. And you're like, nice. Mm-hmm. That could have been in one episode of one of their fucking 900 TV shows that they have now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why did I have a whole movie?
And then it was like, oh, yeah, we needed this movie to set up Kang. It's like, you already did with
You already
Loki.
did in Loki.
Yeah.
But also, like, the Council of Kang shot is just like, you take that out of the movie and, like, the movie means nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to the general audience who doesn't know who Kang is, if you don't have that post-credit scene of the Council of Kang being like, I am everywhere and I'm the best. And, like, not a lot of people know Kang.
I was about to say, let's be honest, general audience, no one's ever heard of Kang before, probably Loki.
Yeah.
So you take that post-credit scene out. Like, I would have rather had a council, that exact same scene, put that in, like, Loki, the last episode, and show the Council of Kang. And then you're setting up, it's like, okay, he who remains, and then you see the Council of Kang, you're like, holy fuck, he's everywhere. Like, there's no way they win. Like, it's just like, they had a whole movie to have a post-credit scene of the Council of Kang. Like, sure, he was cool and they established his backstory, but if they just wiped out that one that they showed the backstory of, why does it fucking matter? Mm-hmm. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he's going to come back in Secret Wars. I'm sure he's still somewhere and he's just, like, in a realm of possibilities.
Well, they say at the end Kang will return. So he is definitely
but which Kang,
coming back.
Like,
I know. I feel like I don't know how I like that idea of there being, like, them opening up a multiverse of, like, Kangs.
Mm-hmm. They haven't even established Reed Richards yet.
Oh my god, bro! That's
before you move on to this,
saying.
Ben and I were saying it's like, okay, so you make this Kang the Conqueror, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, here's unlimited amount of Kang. So it's like you kill one, well, we'll just send in another one. It's like, where are the stakes?
There should only be.
There are no stakes.
Yeah,
stakes
like,
don't
well,
exist anymore because it's like, let's just replace that one.
Yeah,
we'll
like,
replace
the thing
that
is,
one.
they're implying that it's like, okay, well, you have the other three like main Kangs of the council. So you have Mortis. I don't know the names. I'm sorry, but there was like the Egyptian Kang, and then there was like the cyborg Kang, right? And they're supposed to be like the most powerful, and they're the ones who banished Kang the Conqueror. And then you have basically like the screaming grunt Kangs in the middle of the council that were like, just getting all fired up because they were like, how many did you call? And he's like, all of us. So those guys are, I take it, are just going to be like the grunt Kangs, or there could be another Kang the Conqueror amongst those Kangs. But it's just like, again, they went out of their way to be like, he's the conqueror. You know, this guy is so fucked up that of the infinite possibilities of Kangs, he's the one we fucking banished because he's so fucked up.
And Ant-Man beats him.
Ant-Man beats him.
Like,
The only way I can see them like recouping this, and even then, like to me, it already lost a lot of its like presence because they did that. The only way they can recoup that, in my opinion, would be like if he somehow goes and murders all the other Kangs or like absorbs their power.
Yes,
and
sure.
becomes like fucking
which that would be sick.
unstoppable.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
And then you could be like, okay, like he killed all the other copies. Now there's just one. It's like, hooray! Like
they
now we
could do
actually have
that.
one villain that we can care about and invest in now
But
instead
is
of just
that
watching
Kang
an
gonna
ant
be
carry
the
him
one
away.
doing it? Like the one that we saw in Ant-Man. Like, is that Kang that supposedly died? Is he gonna come back?
So what I think is going to happen is in Secret Wars, sorry, not in Secret Wars, in Kang Dynasty, potentially, because I personally still think, I'm upset how they ended it, but I still think the Kang we saw is the final boss. He's going to be the Kang. So I think in Kang Dynasty, they're going to show his rise back to power, take down all the other Kangs, going to take down the fucking main 3 Kangs. And then in Secret Wars, that's going to be Kang the Conqueror, who the Avengers have to stop. That's my personal take on it. That's how I think they're going to go with it. But like, again, like the whole Reed Richards thing, it's like, he's a Fantastic Four. I mean, you're a big Fantastic Four fan. I don't know a whole lot about Fantastic Four, but I do know that Kang is a big Fantastic Four villain.
Well, I mean,
and
he's-
in that, sorry, I just want to say, in that post-credit scene, you see all the Kangs using like that blue square teleport thing to teleport in that we see Reed Richards use.
Which is
in
Doom
Doom
Tech,
Tech.
apparently,
in
according to
fucking-
Kevin Feige.
So it's like, okay, you're establishing that like Reed Richards is like here in this universe. Fucking show him. Like, let's get Fantastic Four going. Come on. Like, what are we doing, Marvel? Like,
I said the exact same thing to you guys when we left the theater last night. I mean, I know, I think I'm probably the biggest Fantastic Four fan at this table. I would
100%,
probably assume.
Yeah.
I like the Fantastic Four. They're my absolute favorite, aside from like Spider-Man, absolute favorite part of the Marvel universe. All of the greatest villains a lot of the greatest Marvel characters ever came out in Fantastic Four books. Kang was one of them. He went on to become more of an Avengers villain, I guess. But I mean, in this like side of the universe, like, fuck, man, you need to have the Fantastic Four against Kang. Reed Richards, realistically, is the only guy that can actually really stop him, you know? Because he's genius. So I know they had issues with the licensing in the process, like, you know,
Right.
all that, whatever. But it's like, you guys got to get Fantastic Four in here.
Okay,
Like,
but
that's what I need to see.
let's
you
do
know?
a head count of the current Avengers of like actual threats. Okay, like let's look at the current Marvel landscape of like heroes you have. Like without the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, who do we have on the roster to fight Kang? We've got Shuri, who just became Black Panther last week. You know, we've got Spider-Man, who nobody knows who he is anymore. We've got Hawkeye. We've got new Black Widow. We've got
Captain America.
We got Captain America, who just became
Depowered
Captain
America.
Who just
Yeah.
became Captain America. Who
Falcon
knows what
with
the
a
fuck
shield,
Bucky's doing?
basically, yeah.
Bucky's doing something.
Fucking
you technically
Thor, who
still
can't
have
do
Thor,
anything
but
anymore.
Thor
He's
is,
an
you know, he
idiot
can't
now.
even fucking
Thor's
figure out his own feet,
incompetent.
You know? So it's like, who do we have right now, right? Like, if not the Fantastic Four, if not X-Men, I know they're going to bring in Deadpool and Logan soon. Or
The thing that
Wolverine
bothers
soon,
me
but-
though is like,
They have Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, I guess, because I'm sure Scarlet Witch is going to come back.
Sure,
So it's like
whatever.
Doctor Strange is like the only like actual Avengers threat container, basically.
sure. But here's the thing, to
And
me.
Hulk.
They got rid of any oh, like, you know, fucking I wonder who can beat him feeling that I had because he was like, I've killed so many Avengers. He says that in the movie, and you're like,
Are you the one with the hammer or whatever? And it's like, okay, so
literally.
he's killed Thor.
So you've killed him before, so
Yeah.
that means basically you fighting the versions we know is meaningless, and the only guy who's beat you so far is Ant-Man. So that's great. That's really enticing.
Yeah.
So what is going to drive me to be excited for a movie like Secret Wars that is supposed to bring in every fucking hero we've ever seen from a Marvel property, Fox property, whatever, from the last 20 years to fight this guy? Like, what are they doing?
We need the Fantastic Four, guys. We need the Fantastic
we
Four.
Or he
doing,
says there's a
Marvel?
bigger
What are we
threat
doing?
coming, but like, what is that then? A Galactus? Like, who are you fucking teasing?
But, I mean-
or are you teasing 1,000 copies of this guy? Because that's not fun. To me.
Listen, that was a part of this whole movie, though, of like, oh, I'll tell you later. Like, the amount of times Janet there was just like, I can't tell you right now.
consecutively.
Like, stop lying to me. I'll tell you later. It's like, just fucking tell us. Like, how is this driving the story or plot? Like, the first time, sure. The second time, okay, like pushing it. The third time, it was like,
We're already in the goddamn quantum realm. It's like, I understand not wanting to tell like all the shit that went down while she was there. She doesn't want to talk about it. Okay, we're past that. We're in the fucking quantum realm. Fucking tell me what we're hiding from.
Yeah.
Finish it.
This is probably useful information that we could all use.
Who are
right
we
now.
The
running
problem
from?
is, I think the problem with that though is we already know who they're referring to, right? Even when Ant-Man and his daughter, what's her name? Cassie. Even when
God,
like,
I gotta go off about her too because she fucking pissed me off in this movie. Anyways,
even when Ant-Man and Cassie got to like that the camp of like the freedom fighters and everything, like they're not like saying his name. It's like that whole like Voldemort kind of thing where it's like, oh
You
no,
who shall not be named.
exactly. But the thing is, as an audience member, we know exactly who it is they're talking about. So they should have structured that entire thing. Like honestly, if we didn't know Kang was supposed to be in the movie and like shit like that whole Janet not telling them for a little while, I could totally live with that, right?
that'd be a cool reveal. Like, holy fuck, it's Kang. You know,
And it goes towards like the buildup of his character. It's like, no, this guy's the fucking worst, right? And you also, even if you didn't know anything that was like really going into this movie, that scene at the beginning where it's like her and Kang in that quantum realm, like at the very, very beginning, I don't think needed to be in there at all.
I thought it would be way more interesting, and I actually thought it was going this way when I first started watching it. I thought it would be more interesting if the friend that she meets was him, and no one knew who the Conqueror was because all the drones were just murdering everyone and building this fucking city.
You mean
also
instead of
Bill Murray
Instead of Bill Murray, I thought it'd be cool if it was fucking Kang instead, because that scene at the beginning is ambiguous until you find out, obviously, that, you know, oh my god, I'm so afraid of this person. It's like, I would have found it way more interesting if like he uses them coming through as the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm gonna fucking use this friendship that I've built back then to my advantage, get to know them, and then fucking destroy them to get out.
That's
But
where
with
I thought it was going
the
too, because then it was
Yeah.
like, oh, befriends her and does all this stuff, and then like you said, is going to use her to do
because said friend, like the only friend we've seen was that first scene when
Yeah.
her and Kang meet, right before they obviously expanded.
before they were like, hey, I cheated on you while I was on the quantum realm with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Nice, thank you. I
then
can
they-
really go without that. Thanks, Marvel.
Just fly by that after too. I don't know.
Exactly.
All that aside, though, I will have to say, Jonathan Majors his
he was great.
performance as Kang
Yeah, it's
though
great.
was so sick. Bro.
Character written though, garbage.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
way his character, but like when he's like saying the lines and shit, and he even like in the flashbacks when he's like kind of like getting angry at her that she's not coming in the ship.
very quiet performance, but like
so
Yeah.
so nuanced, so good. He carried the whole movie again, other than the writing. He carried the whole movie.
Yeah,
for me.
I agree
I
with that.
actually didn't even mind. I think Michelle Pfeiffer also kind of carried the movie for me, aside from her like not telling them for a while.
I disagree
mean?
with you on that, but
Same.
yeah. But however, Jonathan Majors, 100%. I think
100%
he was the
Jonathan
best
Majors,
part of the movie for
And
me.
he's really showing his range too, because like he's doing like even if you look back at like Loki, like his portrayal of Kang and that, it's like a complete like he who remains, that Kang is completely different from
Yeah.
the ones we saw. He voiced the timekeepers in that show, and then we see him do like 4 other different major like interpretations of Kang. So it's like the guy can act. Give him some fucking material to
Including the
act with,
Saw
you know?
Gerrera one and the black get up. I was crying. That voice.
Kang, Immortus, yeah. I've called all of the Kangs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every day, more Kangs.
he was definitely.
Have you come to kill me?
He was the highlight. He was the highlight of the entire movie for me. I love his suit. His suit's awesome.
Yeah, it's
like
sick.
literally
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most like it's like so accurate.
Other
to,
than the
like,
nanotech
books.
helmet, so they get
dude,
every fucking
As soon as I
single Marvel motherfucker ever.
I saw the nanotech and I was like, you two are probably in your
Oh
heads right now. 'Cause
my
I wasn't
God.
sitting beside you.
Here's the thing. I will. You know what? I will break my one rule because, like, if anybody makes sense to have, I'm gonna break it tonight. If anybody can break this rule, it's Ant-Man because his whole thing is fucking small shit and like shrinking, you know, and like nanoparticles and stuff. So that makes sense for him because his whole thing is he shrinks to the size of a fucking molecule.
Yes.
So I can get past it with that. When fucking Okoye busts out the nanotech and fucking
Everyone,
when
every
everyone
single
else
person with
busts
Every
head
suit.
gear.
yeah, when Spider-Man busts out, I know Tony Stark fucking gave him the nanotech, but when every fucking character has it, it's like when everyone's super, no one is, like fucking Syndrome. You know?
So true though.
It's like it was cool with Tony Stark. It's like, oh, he's a fucking scientist. He's made.
I didn't even like it then.
But it was like,
I've
but again,
been
it was like,
very vocal about that too. Like the whole
The
cool factor of
mechanical
Iron Man was like,
suits.
Yeah,
you
like the
hear
clunky
mechanical
shit,
shit coming together, and you're like, ooh,
Yeah,
it's a
not
guy
like-
with a suit, and now it's just like,
but you can
and you're like,
have it as a-
why?
It was like the Mark
It's not
V
cool
vibe.
anymore. And it's also like it's just lazy writing now on behalf of the Marvel production team, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's like Kevin Feige's like, well, fuck it, just do everything CG. Fuck it, just click a
Yeah, we
button.
don't even have to choose the armor
That's
until
it.
later, and it's like,
What do you want it to look like? Nothing. Nice. All right.
Can't wait till Flash's suit is nanotech in the next DC movie with the ring.
The other thing with the movie too is all the stuff with like Paul Rudd. Sorry, I should say Ant-Man. He's so uninteresting in this movie. Like it's just he's such an uninteresting character now.
And we love Paul Rudd. Let's just
I love
just
Paul.
clear
I,
the.
lo-
I
no,
love
like,
Paul Rudd.
His
Rudd's amazing.
performance.
The jokes
as
were
Ant-Man
actually
is great.
pretty good.
Yeah,
too.
like, I was laughing.
I was
Yeah, I was
actually
crying.
I was gonna tell you this because I
that
was
little
sitting,
jelly guy killed me.
Oh,
And that guy.
you
too.
have holes?
Now the thing is like it's not like the typical Marvel humor that I don't like, right?
Yeah.
It's like actual like it was pretty like funny, like quippy sort of like humor, but
So Marvel humor.
in no, but like
I'm joking. I'm just
not
pulling your
like-
leg. I'm pulling your leg.
Here's the thing. Until the third act. Until the third act. When after they kill everything, it's like, yeah, like I'm hungry. Yeah, that'll happen. Limes. Yeah, citrus. I'm like, guys, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't
Spoilers when Modoc dies too. He's like, "You're my brother," and he's like touching his
That
face.
was actually
and
kind
it's
of
So
funny.
I had
I didn't mind that.
So
I was like, "What the fuck?"
And then when he's like, at least I died in Avengers, like,
They're like,
yeah, you're
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't mind
Modoc
that
was like
either.
a point of contention for me, and we'll talk about that too. But like, his visual effects were. Well, I mean, we'll get there, but I mean, like, yeah,
Dog
Here's the
shit.
thing.
Visually,
we're
he's
jumping
dog shit.
around.
we are jumping around. Let's
Sorry,
go back to
sorry.
where you were in the.
Let's
Modoc,
so
yeah.
like let's just talk about like actual like did you guys like anything about it? I don't know because I liked some stuff about it.
I did
Yeah.
like some stuff. Yeah,
The first act for me was funny. Like the setup, the jokes were actually good. I was shocked. Like I was
Yeah.
actually laughing at some shit.
Me too.
Because I felt like I went in with the expectation that I wasn't going to, and then like the first one came, and I was like, aha! I'm like, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well, the thing is that like if any Marvel movie has that kind of humor, it's
be this
Ant-Man
one.
because that is the tone, right?
Yeah, and Paul Rudd's a beast, and I love Paul Rudd.
He's actually like a great comedic actor. He's actually acted in comedies
Yes.
before,
And
not
succeeded.
not only that, but great comedies,
Yeah.
right?
I just like for me I don't want to keep using the word Marvelisms, but the fucking Marvelisms come out hard in this movie, and like I don't like. I understand that it's kind of like an Ant family movie, obviously, and they're trying to set up Cassie to be whoever the fuck they're trying to set her up to be, and like they call it Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though the Wasp does basically nothing in this movie, like saves him at the end ish.
yeah.
And that's about
Twice.
it. Like to me, like anything that takes away from the titular character is like just downplaying the rest of the characters. So like the second that you see like all three of them in a ship doing nothing, and like Cassie comes on the jumbotron, I immediately thought of Black Adam with the kid on the skateboard
Yes.
stands on the fucking hill.
Yeah.
I'm like,
By the way.
why do I have to see
Or
this?
Andor,
By the
the
way.
Oh, come on,
lady at the
everyone
end.
that hates us, and when we landed, everyone fucking wanted us to get the fuck out of here. Come, fight.
Yeah.
Win!
And one thing on that note too, when she came on that like hologram jumbotron and broadcasted to everyone, that was like the corniest shit
Yes.
I've ever seen
That's
and
what I'm
heard
referring
in my
to.
life. Like, and it's just like it didn't feel like there was any heart in it. Like they're like obviously they're trying to inject like that family like heart shit, but it's like it's so corny because tonally this movie's all over the place because you had Ant-Man, everything, like he's like quippy, he's funny, like all that kind of stuff. You have Modoc that's like very over the top kind of
Family
funny,
Guy humor. Like.
Family Guy humorish, I guess you could call it, right? Like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then you had things like the kind of parts of the movie I was invested in was like I know you guys disagree, but like I liked the Janet stuff, right? Because she's actually
liked
like
it. I
she's
am with
super
you on that,
heroic.
yeah.
She's been in the world for a while. She kind of knew what was going on, and I mean like her and Kang's relationship, like I guess like the remnants of their relationship, I thought was a cool dynamic.
It started
Like,
off
it was cool.
good, and then it just
Yeah,
to
I
me
agree.
like it started off good. I was interested, and then it was just like, and to go off that Cassie stuff too, it just felt unearned. Like, why is she the main act? I
That's
don't
my-
know who she like. You know what I mean? Obviously, they tried to build her up in the middle, but I felt like it was more like, okay, this is the new Avenger now. This is the new Ant-Man. And it's like, but the actual
That's
Ant-Man
how
is
I
still
feel
here.
Yeah.
Actually, the predecessor to Ant-Man is still even in this movie too.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
just like
They're
even though
all
you're-
there.
Yeah,
Which he was fine
Ants
too.
just
right?
should have been called.
Yeah. Oh my god.
The
that was
Disney
so
or
bad.
the
A
DreamWorks
Bug's
movie.
Life.
Ants.
A Bug's Life.
Kang is, I feel like, too serious of a villain to just have contained in an Ant-Man movie. Because I was getting really into Kang as a villain when he was like, I don't experience time like you guys. I've seen this all play out. I've seen how it's all ending, right?
They
So
start
it's like-
torturing them and like
Yeah.
threatening
Oh,
them.
so
and
you
stuff,
saw that
yeah.
you got beat by ants at some point? Because
Like, bro, literally, I was just like, because to me in my head, when I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, sick. He's seen how this goes. He's winning this movie. 1000%. He's getting out of the quantum realm because then, like, it's gonna go into the next bunch of set of movies, right? Like he's escaping. I'm like, this is gonna be sick. Okay. Totally, like I said, movies all over the place. You had like all this like humor, then the serious stuff. Kang was like the most serious shit, which is what I was most like invested in, just because like he started to really hold some weight, right? And then fucking he gets taken away by like the original Ant-Man's ants, and like, you know, like they just fucking underused him, threw him to the side, beaten by the Ant family. They stole a Fantastic Four idea, like that whole Council of Kang shit. Like I was like, wow, that looks like the Council of Reeds, which was like a version of Fantastic Four where like Reed fucking, you know, sees like all the multiversal version of himself. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with like the comic book side, so maybe Kang.
I saw the panel. Like it is like
Council of Kangs.
Yeah, like that,
Okay.
like that one shot where you see him like going ballistic at the camera, like to that one green guy. Like that.
Okay.
That is a panel. Just not because I've read
gotcha.
it, because I've seen it. But,
Okay, cool. So I didn't know that. I only know Council of Reed stuff. So I don't know. Like they just that third act, like everything was just like so like. It was like it reminded me of Black Adam. They just tried to like add a bunch of stuff. Like fucking when he closes the portal and him and Wasp are stuck there and they're looking out at like the new thing. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm kind of still pissed on how it ended, but at least they're gonna be stuck down here.
Not
And
even
then 2
3
seconds later,
milliseconds.
the
Literally.
fucking portal opens up and I'm like,
and they even
Yeah.
refer to it. They're like, "Well, let's go home." They
Yeah,
just
like,
knew
they
it was
They didn't
opening.
even look behind them. It's like
Literally.
that just sums up all the Marvel movies
Yeah.
right there. Well, we're gonna be
Marvel
fine.
right
I was like, oh yeah, there's. I almost forgot. There's no stakes
there's
at
no
all,
consequences.
right?
Yes.
Someone like I was just waiting for someone to get vaporized and love it. Like
Yes.
Janet should have been fucking disintegrated.
Well,
I thought Janet
it was
gonna
funny
die
because
for
literally
sure.
in the same
100%.
scene, Kang's like blowing up everyone from like the quantum people, but then shoots the same lasers at Ant-Man and just knocks
nothing
him over.
happens.
yeah,
It's
when he
like,
turns giant,
yeah,
he takes
what?
8 billion ship
He's
lasers
literally
at him.
shooting and wiping people out of existence. when
Yes,
he's
and then he
walking
shoots at
down.
Ant-Man and he just knocks over, which is like,
So it's like you don't actually see the full scope of this guy's power because if Ant-Man could stop, like, I don't know. And the thing is, when we say, like, you know, oh, like, I'm invested, when I say things like I'm invested as Kang's a villain because of how serious it is, like, it's not just because we only like serious ass shit in movies. It's like we want to feel like
interesting.
the events matter, right?
Yeah.
And when
Yes.
you have a movie where literally there's absolutely no consequences, it's like,
Yes.
why am I even invested in this in the first place? I thought Kang was going to kill Janet. I thought Janet was dying. You know what I mean? I thought that was going to be the end of her arc. You know what I mean?
and
No
which would have been a
remorse,
good motivator for the other characters.
right?
Like just purely speaking story wise and like character motivations and stuff. Like, oh, here's
But
something
tonally,
new
it was
there.
all over the place.
Yeah, it was
You know
all
what I
over
mean?
the
Like
place,
even
yeah.
like, oh my god, like when you see Modoc for the
Yeah.
first time, it's like, look, I know like Modoc is he can be like a pretty funny character, like even in the books, and Modoc does look kind of ridiculous, but like this looked so
Yeah,
shitty.
like just like on a technical side of
this
things. Like
looks so awkward and bad.
I actually like. I enjoyed his. I was prepared to fucking hate him. I thought his lines were pretty funny. Like I thought his presence actually like I found myself chuckling and enjoyed some of his moments.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe they made it look shitty on purpose. But like you can just literally, it quite literally, like when the mask comes up, the mask was kind of cool.
Mask was sick. I
Like
love
when
it.
he's actually flying around doing Modoc shit and like tearing shit up, like that's kind of cool.
It was awesome.
But as soon as the mask comes up, it quite literally looks like not even Photoshop. They didn't have the budget for Photoshop. They went into Microsoft Paint, and rather than like actually equally distribute the stretch of his face, they like took each corner and just like fucking pinned it to the corners of the
What's that
helmet.
the
program?
corner pin
What's
tool
that
on
program?
After Effects.
yeah,
What's that
puppet tool.
program that you do that around like this shit?
Oh,
the Adobe
fucking
thing.
yeah, Dimension.
No, they didn't have the budget for
yeah,
Adobe.
No,
Adobe
they didn't.
Dimension.
They didn't even have that. Yeah.
No, it was Microsoft Paint, and they keyframed his face.
They actually printed it out, stuck it on something, and then just took a photo of it. And that's
Speaking
what
of copying Star Wars, they actually they keyframed it, put his face on it, and put it on a blue screen and floated him around. That's
The
what they
thing
did.
is-
that probably would have looked better than how they did it. Actually,
Oh,
Literally, like the thing is, yeah, like I said, Modoc does actually look ridiculous. If you read anything,
Yeah,
with
he does,
Modoc
he
in
does.
it, he does look ridiculous. But like this was just like, it would have almost looked passable, but like it was weird because you couldn't tell where his eyes were looking, and like his face was like so stiff the whole time, and like there was something off about like the animation of his mouth versus what he was like saying. I
and,
was
and
like,
the color, like everything.
That was
Like I was
just-
saying, his skin tone looked like fucking gray and purple the whole time, and I'm like,
The thing too with visual effects, it's like if you know you're gonna have something like that, it's better to hide it. with stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's just a general rule of thumb, and like everything was just so evenly lit. But you were even saying that too with the visual. And sorry, we're jumping ahead here, but like on
No,
this
we can go
topic,
into
we
it.
were like talking about the visual effects and how everything was just like on 3 planes. It was like foreground actors, some practical sets,
which was
background.
just like
That's
debris
it.
and dirt.
Yes.
And then like it literally, what bothered me is you could see the hard fucking edge line of everything that was practical compared to fucking the fucking
It
green
wasn't
screen.
blended,
No blending. Like that last part where he's coming up and he's like, "Oh, Janet, this is the place where like you like abandoned me," or whatever he says at the end there. He's walking out from like 2 pieces of rubble, which is all like flat as fuck, like no color, no dynamic lighting, no nothing. And then behind him is just like the jagged rocks and then like distant blurry fucking backgrounds that are not even moving. That's supposed to be like the landscape of like this fucking quantum city. And I'm like, what am I looking?
Speaking
like,
of matte
it
paintings.
looks like I just spray painted this and then I'm standing here and I put like this foam rock behind me and I'm like, the quantum realm, everybody.
Yeah, A New Hope had matte paintings that had more
100%.
depth than
1 billion%. And like, and again, like I know visual effects houses are being taxed beyond like
Yeah,
what they
that's-
can
I think that
handle.
just speaks to the climate of where Marvel is right now. And it's like-
Yes, and it's all a timing thing. It's like they're pushing these out like a fucking factory.
Yeah, the artists are like, what the fuck?
100%. And like even like every medium shot, every close up, it didn't help that we saw it in 3D, not really by our choice, but like everything was like so starkly separated. Like if there was an actor in a medium or a close up shot, it was like there's the actor and there's a fucking green screen. You see the fucking fuzzy ass feathered line around their cheek the whole fucking time. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching right now? This
That's
is
what I was
fucking
thinking.
terrible.
I was like, does this like not look very good because we're watching it in 3D? I went and like looked at the trailer again before we actually sat down to record this, and like the trailer didn't really help because what I will say is there were some shots and sequences that I thought were pretty visually
Yeah.
stunning.
Yeah,
Like there were some like,
That- okay, so-
amazing money shots, and they only used those for the trailer. So I was like, oh,
I've already seen these.
right. So like they didn't really use a lot of like the shit shots that like you're talking about, but
I think one of the most interesting moments, and we'll just briefly talk about it because this was actually a scene I really like. They introduced some really cool concepts, but then they just like flop on it. But like the infinite possibility, like you're just a possibility. Like, hey, Scott, you're in Schrodinger's box right now, and you're the cat, right? And then like we just see like all the infinite possibilities of him. I'm like, that was really cool to me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was like one of the standout scenes of the movie.
and the Baskin Robbins version of him.
Yeah, that was fun.
hilarious.
That was
Yeah,
so
I
fun.
liked that a lot.
That was really cool. Like there's
Why
a
am
lot
I
of
here?
cool things and concepts and ideas that the movie has, but then it's just like it's just undermined by all the just dumb shit that
Yeah.
ruins it, But
This is like one thing just touching on, I mean, I think it entails everything that we've been talking about, but like the day the embargo lifted, Kevin Feige came out and said, hey, we're slowing down on the shows. So right there, I'm like, oh, he's realizing there's a quality control issue and he has to slow the fuck down. Nice. And then he's
Good
like,
though,
oh, by the way, Deadpool 3 is coming along. It's our first R-rated movie. We're really looking forward to it. So that was his little thing, like, oh, like guys, we're switching everything up. Like, this is gonna be a nice, refreshing piece that you can watch. And then the third zinger was like, oh, by the way, we're writing Spider-Man 4 right now. Tom Holland's officially back. And you're like, nice. The day Ant-Man gets review bombed, he's like, guys, it's gonna be good.
He
Okay.
knows what he's
get
talking.
better.
He knows what he's
Yeah.
doing.
they're
man. He knows
realizing
what he's
now.
doing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're starting to finally get past, and this like because we're DC fans, we have to struggle with like getting bombed by people who are just like oh, you guys just fucking hate Marvel. What? I think we're starting to finally see the light of people just like loving every Marvel property because it's a Marvel property now, and they're starting to see the repetitiveness and they're starting to see the quality control issues. And I
There
think
is a level of fatigue that's going on.
there is, and I think I was saying this
I
in the
felt
car.
it after this movie the most.
sure.
I was just like, I don't care.
I think the thing is too is like I just want to see a movie that's like just a normal boots on the ground, but like an actual just like an Earth story. I just want to see an Earth story for
Yes.
once. I'm just so tired of the fucking green screen medium. Just like everything is just it's so untangible with so little stakes. Like give me another fucking Captain America Winter Soldier movie. Give me fucking like
Even this movie could have been that, though. Instead of having that big battle with all these armies that I don't give a shit about, just make it between Ant-Man and Kang the
Yes.
whole time.
Yeah.
So it's actually like, okay, you have this to lose, you have this to lose. Not like, wow, this whole city of quantum people. I don't know who they are. I don't give
You know,
a fuck.
it would have been better if that portal closed and then they had the battle.
Yes.
Because then, like,
Ant-Man's got nothing left to lose.
nothing
He's
left to
got-
lose.
Kang's got nothing left to lose.
100%.
They're just
And
Look
gonna
how
fight
small
to
the change
death.
that is. Close the portal.
Done.
Whole new story.
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Look what it does to the character. You know what I
And
mean?
like, I found him the most terrifying when he was interrogating them in those 2 cells.
Yes.
And, like just with a finger, he was like fucking them up.
Yeah.
That
was
is
that
like,
powerful the
oh,
rest
he's
of
that
it.
powerful. But then he
Yeah.
starts shooting hand beams, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Which I actually didn't mind that
At
because
first.
then it showed his anger and how he could just like be set off so easily.
Sure.
But then again, as it went on, and it was like you're disintegrated, you're knocked over. It's like
I
like,
disliked the anger part though, because again, that undermines his whole character. He's supposed to be this calm, like menacing, like nothing gets the best of him,
And-
right? Like he shouldn't be like having like fucking temper tantrums because fucking Ant-Man's pissing him off. Continue, Alex. That was my point.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say fucking. I don't really agree with that
Fair enough.
because he loses his shit in the flashbacks when Janet touches
Yeah.
the ship. It's always, it's always.
No, it's not that. It's just he's saying.
It's always him losing his shit because he says like there's been rebellions against me before, but like I always come on top, and then it shows him fucking becoming enraged and blowing planets up. But then that's why I don't like the fucking hand beam bullshit, because it shows how powerful with the flick of a finger he can be, but then he can't even take down an entire fucking, like if he dropped down there and with one fucking blast and scream, he fucking annihilated every living thing on that fucking tarmac, I would have been like, Jesus fucking shit, that's horrifying.
Like that shot of
Instead, he's
Thanos.
like, he's a few, and then he's like, ah, and then fucking ants take him down. I'm like, what am I watching? Like, I just watched him. I watched him take down 40 fucking million Earths in a fucking flashback.
You're telling me that he never came across anyone that was going to give him as much of a
had
problem as
ants?
Ant-Man? Yeah. I'm glad that you did say that. And again, Dan, I'm respectfully disagreeing with you. What I wanted to add to Ben's point though is what I was going to say is part of the reason why Kang is so intriguing, like up until that 3rd act, is because, and this goes, I think, this is illustrated by Jonathan Majors' performance, because it is honestly a very nuanced performance.
I agree.
And I don't think, unfortunately, I think his performance will be kind of overlooked because of how bad the rest of the movie
Yep.
is. But
And the script.
there is a frailty in Kang's character that is illustrated a couple of times in a couple of scenes that, to me, gives him this kind of depth that he's way more than just a conqueror. There's like an insecurity and like a fear of not winning and not being the best that I think is also horrifying. Like when he is, when you see his face change, when Janet sees what he actually is, when you see his face change, being like, get in the ship, like that is a really scary moment, right? Because you're like, this guy's not mentally stable, right? He could snap at any time, right? But at the same time, he has so much power, like power beyond human comprehension. And he's so afraid of not being the best and not losing. That is where he's like really scary. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, this villain is so sick, right?
Yeah.
Even more so than like a Thanos, right? I think he's way more complex than a Thanos.
Yeah.
In the interrogation scene, you're seeing all of that again. And it's just like, and again, like kind of like a totally different character. Like, you know, he starts out in the interrogation very in control. He's like, boom, boom, this is what I can do.
Yeah.
And then when
And
he
there's nothing you can do
realizes
about
he's
it.
not getting through to Ant-Man, you can see that little like, again, very subtle acting performance by Jonathan Majors. Like you can just see him just like getting fucking
like his fuse is very short.
Yeah.
short ass fuse. And oh my god, it was so sick.
Yeah.
Even like that fight between the two when he's like super desperate at the end of everything, his performance way better than Paul Rudd's in my opinion in that final
Oh, I agree with
fight.
everything you're saying. I agree with you.
But I'm just saying, like, when you say things like, you know, he's supposed to be like always in control, that's where I disagree, because the fear of his character comes from his unpredictability because of how actual frail.
I think what I'm
actual
trying to say
frail
is
he
like he shouldn't have been put in that position in this movie because of Ant-Man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that shouldn't have been when we saw that snap. We see hints of it. You see the little, like in the interrogation scene, you see like the eye twitch and like you know like the spark of him losing his shit.
Yeah.
But like the fact that he's coming down and he's already fucking lost his mind. Imagine what happens when the whole Avengers are fucking attacking this guy. Dude.
Imagine down the line when he like in like during like the big like event or whatever. Imagine down the line where he realizes like at some point like the Fantastic Four is in his universe. Imagine he realizes he comes face to face with Reed, who he realizes has like outsmarted him, right?
Isn't he technically a descendant of Reed Richards?
Yes.
Nathan Richards or something like that. Is that the name? So it's like that's like a whole cool storyline that they could, you know, they're probably not going to touch on, but you know, it would be cool.
But just imagine that, eh? Like imagine a movie where like he gets outsmarted by Reed Richards and like then he snaps then. You know what I mean? Tries to take the fucking entire multiverse down, like or whatever. Like tries to like destroy himself, the entire multiverse like those are the kind of things I'm thinking about, like the possibilities when I'm watching Ant-Man, and then to kind of see like him just kind of get like taken away by like the old Ant-Man's ants, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like you guys are on a gold mine. This is a more interesting villain than Thanos, more dynamic, more nuanced, and you guys just threw it away for like no reason, right?
I don't like how Marvel is so hesitant on giving us like more mutants or more like literal godlike characters. They always rely on like, well, he's a big bad, but he relies on technology. It's like, I'm no longer invested. Like that was actually one thing that bothered me about him. Aside, like again, loved his performance, agree with everything you said, but on a technical level, when it comes to like his actual ability and stuff, I personally don't know him from the comics, so fucking literally crucify me if you want. But like, when I think of a god tier character like that, I think of a literal god. I think of going back to DC for a sec, like the new gods. Yep. Like they are physically fucking just superior in every way to a human being, and they have their own power sets. Okay? You have those characters in the Marvel universe, Thanos being one of them. Obviously, he's a big fucking titan, and he's a powerful fucking being.
Mephisto is a really big villain in the books right now.
Yes.
The literal devil.
But like when I see someone like Kang, who again is supposed to be a big bad, who you see have scary ass abilities, when I see that stripped away from him because he's wearing a fucking gauntlet that has telekinetic abilities, I'm like, that also just undermined the shit out of his power levels for me, because I'm like, it's not him, it's his technology. So now I don't care as much. That's my personal thing, because like we haven't really seen god tier characters other than Thor.
Yeah.
Vision they pissed all over because he's supposed to be one of the fucking most powerful things ever. He gets stabbed and dies, and more you're like,
you literally would have never have known that.
I thought this wasn't supposed to go through your phasing. Yeah, it's not supposed to.
But like,
why did it happen?
Yeah, but like at that end battle, you see him like, and he's like his gauntlets all going like he's like, and you're like,
well, I can see where that would come from, although like, that is like this movie did stay pretty true to his character though. It's like.
I'm pretty sure that like
Kang is like he amasses
and again,
power
I don't
by
know that,
conquering. He like
because he has the ability and like the technology to understand time that no one else can, and he can manipulate it and be able to see.
So his thing is he's smart.
So
yeah. But like in the Fantastic Four, for example, like that, I think the first couple Fantastic Four and like Avengers arcs from like the 60s is like he went back and conquered Egypt. He went back and conquered Rome. So like when they looked back in like history, they were like there was like always remnants of Kang, right? So, but again, that adds a dimension to his character though, because again, it's that frailty, right? So he's like he's just a guy, but he's a guy. He's like Doctor Doom, right? He was a guy, or like a Lex Luthor, like in the comics kind of thing. He was a guy that got access to technology that is beyond human comprehension, and he went out and is trying to do crazy shit with it, right? One thing I was really disappointed with, and it might be my own fault, but when they kept saying they kicked me out, they kept referring to they. I thought he was talking about the Watcher or the Watchers. And I was like, I got really excited off that idea. So I was like sitting there like, oh my God, if he's talking about the Watchers, I'm going to fucking lose my mind because that's the sickest shit ever, right? And then like when it got to the end, I was like, oh my God, please give me like the Watchers or something, right? Which again, like think about like Guardians.
We got the Watcher.
We got the Watcher and What If.
And there's a tease of him, I believe, at the end of Thor and Love and Thunder. I believe, like you see I could be 100%.
I didn't watch that.
I still haven't watched that movie.
I haven't watched it either. But when he kept saying they, I kept thinking it was the Watchers. I got really excited, and at the end it was just like multiversal Kangs, and I was like,
I disagree. I thought that was like I think that makes sense for what they're setting up. Quite literally.
Well, yes,
Kang
it does.
Dynasty,
Like quite literally, it does make sense because that's what they're setting up. But I hate it.
Yeah.
On every subatomic fucking level of storytelling.
On every quantum level, you might even say.
So I guess.
I guess I just hate the movie at the end of the day. Yeah, that's my consensus.
I hope we're just like
I can't wait to have a positive podcast one day.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. It's like I think we're all just kind of like at this level now with like Marvel movies in particular, and they're they're setting up the Young Avengers, and I think this is like the last thing I just wanted to touch on, because it's like, at least with like the first, like with the Infinity Saga, right? With all those characters, we were like somewhat invested because we see like a full character arc come to fruition after what, like 21 movies, and it's like this big feat, right? All those characters' monikers were earned. And now they're like with the new phase, and like, yeah, we're like setting up the Young Avengers, and we're gonna have the X-Men and all this stuff, but it's like, it just like all of them are kind of like Rey from Star Wars syndrome of just like, they're just like inheriting this ability, and like it doesn't feel earned, and it's like, we know they're not going to get like their own like origin story, like what we're getting with like Kate Bishop and what we're getting with like Ant-Man's daughter Cassie now. Like it's just like they figure out their powers in one movie. Like we even saw it. We saw like Ant-Man's daughter become like full Ant-Man by the end of the movie. Like she does the growing big thing, and she's like, wow, I could grow big. Remember Ant-Man in his movie? It like took him fucking like years to like learn how to shrink.
And
once.
wasn't it like
it was painful?
He could do it for 2 seconds.
yeah,
and
and
he
then
would-
the big thing was like, oh, you could actually die doing this.
Yeah.
But then now it's in every single fucking movie that he's in, and you're
So it's like every single
okay.
Young Avenger to me just feels like a not a Mary Sue, because it's like, I'm sure. Well, I mean, kind of. They're probably low.
But it's just, they're just rushed in.
They're just like there's
no
no arc. There's like, oh, it's like my dad was this, so I inherently know how to do this.
And
like,
I'm sorry, like I'm sure there's good books on Young Avengers and stuff,
who
but
cares?
I fucking don't care.
Yeah.
You know what answers you haven't given me? The answers of where are the actual main Avengers?
Yeah, where are they?
Like, do they exist still? Do they have a purpose? Like, who's running the fucking place now that Stark's dead? Like, where are these answers? I don't care that there's a young team. Cool, because you know what? In the fucking Avengers movies coming up, they're just going to be like West Coast, and they're going to send them somewhere else to do fucking some subplot that I
Nick
don't
Fury's
fucking
gonna
care
show
about.
up and be like, I need you, and it's just gonna be like this rushed thing.
This film could have been a really good catalyst for bringing all those old Avengers back if they would have let Kang out of the fucking quantum realm. Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
Which
Which
I
is
mean,
gonna
they're leading
happen,
to,
but
but I
it's
mean,
like-
like
I know they already let Thanos win in Infinity War, so it would have kind of been redundant to let like Kang out.
But then Infinity War is regarded as one of the best Marvel movies because shit like that happened. So it's like,
know.
why would you not try and replicate that process? Hey,
Instead
this
of
movie made $1
replicating-
billion and everyone universally loves it for the most part. If you don't like Infinity War, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, but like, you know what I mean? Everybody loved that movie.
Yeah.
But let's not do that again.
I think the problem is
okay,
just
great.
like quite simply, it's like it's just a logistical thing. Like the original actors are done, their contracts are up.
Sorry, but what I
like,
mean, what I
movie-
mean though is like the actual story point of like, kill some characters off,
Right.
let the big bad out, like
Well-
Alex is saying, and be loose. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh shit, okay. And now it's like, okay, Kang's loose, and the people who actually made it out of the quantum realm go and be like, we need fucking help, guys.
Yeah.
And it's like the
Yes.
Hulk going back to Earth in. It was Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
I think I
where
just
he's like-
mean though the roster is slim now though.
I agree
Because like
with
those
you.
characters are gone.
Sure, but
right?
what I'm
So
saying
it's
like,
like
you
agree,
could
but
still
it's like-
save it with the story part.
yes, save it with the story, and then focus on the ones that you've been cock teasing for fucking 2 years at this point,
Yeah.
and give us like
The Fantastic Four.
Give us Fantastic Four,
X-Men.
but
Captain.
yes, give us Fantastic Four, but make it fucking good. Okay, don't
Yes.
fuck it up.
Yes, make it good.
There's
for God's
there's
sake.
rumors that John Krasinski isn't going to be fucking Mr. Fantastic again, which will fucking piss off
Get out of
so
there.
many people. I don't want to be a toxic fan and be like, you have to give us this guy, or like I fucking won't watch the movie. Like no, like I'm saying, people fan casted him for a reason, and he was great in the 30 fucking seconds that we saw him in Multiverse of Madness.
Like,
If
literally got
they
ripped to
cast
shreds.
someone else, they will fucking crucify themselves. I guarantee there's going to be this
Him and
overarching
Emily Blunt
layer.
as Susan Storm would be fucking perfect.
Even if it's fucking not her.
I know, but
I'm
it would
just
be
saying, if he's not in it, there's an issue. Personally. Anyway. What I was getting at, though, is like all I'm looking forward to are, again, the cootie boots on the ground movies now. Because, like Captain America 4 is going to be that.
Are they
Like,
making that?
Yeah. So gimme New World Order, it's called. Okay?
Okay.
Fucking Harrison Ford is replacing... I forget his name. I'm so sorry, but the guy who played Thaddeus Ross that passed away, Harrison Ford stepping in that role. Apparently, I'm pretty
William
sure that's
Hurt.
like a William Hurt. Yep. That's gonna be like probably a Red Hulk sitch right there, which is cool. Like, give me
Good.
something on the fucking
Oh,
streets,
a good Hulk.
the
Nice.
streets of fucking Washington, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
give me
A
those
Hulk is actually
stories.
a beast instead of a.
Yes,
I'm
and
really
I feel
hoping-
like
yeah, sorry.
they've gotten so experimental in this phase so far. I mean, Ant-Man was technically the start of Phase 5, I guess, but like,
Off to a
they've
great
gotten
start.
they've gotten so experimental with the multiverse shit that it's almost going too far too quick. and for general audiences, like even for fucking us, it's just like, how do I keep track of all this shit? Like, well, there's a variant of him and a variant of that, and like, oh, there's 17,000 people of that fucking Kang, and like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care anymore because I'm not invested in anything.
And there's no stakes because you can just do the variant card. It's like, oh well, no problem, we can bring him back.
On one hand, though, after I watched Multiverse of Madness, I was like, I love how experimental Marvel is getting, and it seemed like they were going in the direction of taking some risks. Really, like, because stylistically, I think Multiverse of Madness was a pretty, it was a risk,
and it was a standout because of that.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like it. I
That's
loved
why
it.
we loved it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite Marvel movies. Out of everything, all the phases, Multiverse of Madness, one of my favorite Marvel movies. I loved it. It was great. This movie, when it first started, I was like, okay, sick. They're keeping it experimental, like it's sick. They're going to the quantum realm, like it was like unreal, like all that stuff. And then by the end, I'm like, this is shit, bullshit, whatever. They had a great opportunity. Like if Kang's gonna go through fucking timelines up, like right, they have a great opportunity. They could kind of keep that tone sort of going. But I agree with you. Next Cap movie should be a little bit more grounded. I think the next Spider-Man movie's gotta be more grounded. Keep them in New York, right? Like do like whatever. I don't know.
If they don't, it's a colossal fuck up on their part because it is quite literally the flashpoint of Spider-Man. You know, like they fought. Like what I mean by that is like his whole universe or his whole timeline has been reset.
Yeah,
like nobody knows who he is. All they know is that Spider-Man exists. Right.
Yeah.
So it would be a colossal fuck up for them to not take the advantage of doing like an original boots on the ground Peter Parker story. Just like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man,
boots
dude.
on the ground.
I still think
I don't even want to see him swinging because as soon as his boots leave the ground, I am so not invested anymore.
I still think that the fucking Spidey 4 story should be Venom because
I was gonna say Black Cat.
Black Cat would be cool as
Venom,
a tertiary
Scorpion.
character or whatever.
Or Craven. It's gonna be Craven.
Sick.
No,
sure.
because
I'm
Craven
down
has
with
his
that.
own solo Sony dog shit fucking
okay,
piece
never
of
mind.
fucking garbage movie coming out. Anyway, I already know it's gonna be shit because Sony's producing it on their own. Anyway,
Morbius was good.
yeah, great film.
Morbid
All the
time.
Venom movies were great too. But the tease we get of the symbiote being left in the universe after that Spidey kind of reset would be great. No one knows who he is, but the symbiote, because they say in that little scene that they have hive mind knowledge from across fucking universes.
Even if they gave us like Carnage, that'd be cool.
Fucking anything. Like literally like that. I think that's the only way it can like, not the only way it can work, but I think that'd be a good way to be like, okay, the only thing in this universe that knows who Peter Parker is the fucking symbiote. And it's going to fucking hunt him down and then fuck his day out.
I can almost promise they're going to pull a Spider-Man No Way Home and just brush over the stakes of the last movie. Because you remember in Spider-Man Far From Home, the end of the movie is like, oh, wow, these are fucking serious consequences that everybody in the world knows who Peter Parker is. Gets brushed over in the first 5 minutes when, you know, the court case gets taken care of. Oh, yo, you're fine, but Happy, you should probably get a good lawyer. And then it's on to like the multiversal shit. I promise you the next movie is going to be like, oh, him and Zendaya fall in love in the first 5 minutes again. I promise. Mark my words. Today is the
See,
day.
for me,
I hope they don't do that. It's like a clean slate. Just fucking like let's like maybe do a Black Cat story. You know,
That's what
that would be
I think
kinda
we've
sick.
said that on the podcast before, but like, yeah, bring a Black Cat story where
We've
he's
said it behind the scenes too, a
True,
little
yeah.
explicitly of what we want to see out of that.
But anyways,
just,
that's
like,
a whole other
give him
pod.
that thing. It's like, hey, I want MJ to like love me again, but like at the same time, like, you know, there's like a romance going on with Black Cat. He's got to kind of choose, like, you know what I mean? That would be great, like a classic Peter Parker self-destruction. That's what I want to see.
Well, and then like
That's
it would
what
be a great
Spider-Man
story
is.
for
Yeah.
the symbiote too, because it's like he's giving into his like inner like, you know, inner monologue, like, oh, this is what I want to do, but I should be with Mary Jane or Michelle Jones in this case.
Yeah.
But the symbiote takes over and he's like, oh no, I'm gonna go with Black Cat and like just do like fucking like dirty shit. And,
and give us a Fantastic Four movie, please. I'm not even just saying it because I love the Fantastic Four. I want to see like a Fantastic Four movie, but like they're like, this is the time to bring them into this universe.
Well, they are.
Man.
It's
like,
one of the next ones coming out, I think.
okay.
Isn't it?
it's on the slate, but it's
Shows
like
how much I
we
know.
don't know. But it's like
I'm serious.
it should have been, and it's one of those where it's like it should have been. Yeah, we got to
the
wrap
fuck
it.
out
It
of
should
this.
have should have been done before they introduced Kang because Kang's a Fantastic Four villain. But anyways,
What would you rate Ant-Man out of 10? Let's go around the table.
I'm gonna say 5.5. I mean 5.5.
Generous.
Yeah, it was generous. I'm gonna say 5.5 because I did have some entertaining parts, but 5.5.
4.7.
4.7.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Agent
How about you?
47.
For 7.5.
For 7.5.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can give it a number. I would say it was better than Black Adam. It was.
That's the benchmark for this movie. That's how great
It was
it
better than
It
Thor.
wasn't lower than shit. But
I would give it like a 5.
Like a
I
bathroom
guess.
at a Denny's.
Like I'll never watch it again ever. But you know, it was better than like the worst ever properties. But
It was better than the Eternals.
It was better than the
if it was
Eternals.
on at like a family Thanksgiving, I'd probably watch it in the background.
Hammer.
If it
Still
was
hate
it.
Yeah.
if it was on at a family Thanksgiving, I would put my foot through the TV.
Like it made me
I'd
laugh.
change the
But
channel.
anyway,
Yeah. Anyway,
so that's
a good point to wrap up.
I think we're gonna wrap this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you guys thought of Ant-Man. Have you seen it yet? What'd you like? Did you like it? What did you think? Let us know.
If you want to donate $100 million for the next Zack Snyder installment,
How to get it in there?
we did a whole podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should be proud of us.
All right,
I
see
love
ya.
Marvel.
Okay, bye.